Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and I haven't been around for a number of days, and I apologize for that. The last time I was here, however, I did a quick video on I did a quick read. My husband at the time was in Germany, and I was expecting him home any minute, so I did a quick read on him returning home, and truly, he brought me some magnificent gifts, which are all in my tarot parlor. So since this is a tarot video channel, I think it's okay to show you some of my gifts. I'll pick up the camera, and at the top is a beautiful stained glass. That piece is a reproduction piece from an ancient cathedral. When I say ancient, probably the Middle Ages, or, well, that cross in the heart is probably, I wonder if, I'm sure that's something that some of you would know of, probably 1600s maybe, something like that, or 1400s. For those of you who know, please let me know, I'm not really sure. And then this particular piece is actually, it's an actual piece that was created probably close to 100 years, I guess 80 years, during the regime of when the Nazis took over the country. And artwork, this is a particular example, I think, of abstract expressionist art, was done by individuals that the Nazis didn't approve of, that there were a number of people. This is stained glass, so I don't know if it would have been in a Catholic church. If it would have been, I don't know that it would have been done by a Jewish person, but it may have been a person of some other distinction that upset the Nazis. I don't know. But I really like this piece. It's moody. It's got the name von Hess here, and then Cell down here, so von Hess Cell. It appears to have a crown, then what looks to be like a knight's helmet. And these blades of light almost look like swords, but they're not. And then we have a shield. So, I mean, it is abstract expressionist. And what happened was they, in order to preserve these pieces of art, which were being destroyed by Hitler's regime, they had to, the people who were trying to save the art, they, took all these pieces of stained glass and they stored them in basements, to keep them from being destroyed. So that's what that is. And I'm lucky to have it. Now I'm wearing headphones, hopefully to drown out the sound, because I got a new cuckoo clock. Now, we have a few timepieces in this house. I have a grandfather clock from my mother, which chimes, which you don't typically hear. We have a cuckoo clock in the house, in another part of the house, which we occasionally hear when I do videos. And now this one is in my tarot parlor, so you most definitely hear it. This one, you can hear the ticking, so that's why I'm wearing the headphones, because I don't know if it will bother you during videos to hear the constant tick, 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 tick. So I put these on and I tried to mute the sound, so hopefully it does that. And every hour and half hour, it will chime. But it's just quick, it's like one cuckoo on the half hour, and then corresponding cuckoos for whatever the time is. So if it's, 3 cuckoos for 3 o'clock. So that's and this other beautiful piece, this lovely piece of quartz, this quartz obelisk, which is so pretty. I'm very happy to have it. So today I thought I would showcase 2 German decks in honor of my husband's return from Germany. Now, I have shown both of these decks in the past. I've shown them individually. I'm not sure if I've ever shown them together. side by side, and if I have, I showed them so long ago that it's okay to do it again because they're buried so deep you probably never find them anyway. One is Hess 1780, and it is a Marseille style, and the other is Miller, the Hess is 1750, I apologize, 1750, and it's in the Marseille style. The other is Miller 1780 in the Besançon, so they're two different styles, a Marseille and a Besançon, although both done in Germany and only separated by 30 years. The other thing I want to mention is that I haven't shown many Giordano Berti decks in recent months. And that's because as new creators become available and known to me, I've been showcasing their decks, and most of my Giordano Bertis and my Il Meneghellos and Yves Renaud decks were all showcased early in my channel life, my channel history, because in the 2010s, when I started having some money that I was able to purchase some of these decks, the people to buy them from at that time were Giordano Berti, Il Meneghello, and Yves Renaud. So those were so if you want to see a lot of their decks, I showcased them early on in my channel life. But now in recent years, I've been, buying and receiving decks from other creators, and so I'm showcasing them. So that's why. But I do want to show all my deck creators equal love because I love all of them. So let's flip the camera and get started. So straight out of the gate, we can see that they're quite different, right? They have quite different personalities. The Hess has a cute little face. And it's more realistic. I mean, we can see the flesh of the derriere of the person. And the Miller, I think, you'll notice has these strange looking things in the corners, which I'm not exactly sure what that motif, I guess it's just a decorative motif where they put the number. But I love the posture. I love the body language of the Hess deck quite a bit. And as we would expect, the difference in Marseille and Besançon, we see the female Pope in the Marseille and Juno in the Besançon. And we see Juno's characteristic peacocks, which are a symbol for her, as we see the female Pope's, well, that's not exactly a triple tiered crown, but a tiered crown and her book. And some people would comment on the veil in the background. Look at the faces between them. Interestingly, in the Marseille, we have a number 4, which was characteristic of what we would expect to see in a TDM1. His name is there. And Jupiter in the Besançon in place of the Pope. And if you recall, in many decks, whenever there was a difference in any of the cards, it was often in the number 2 through 5 cards for political or religious reasons. Sometimes different countries varied what appeared on those cards. So here we have a blindfolded Cupid, which is a characteristic of TDM1, but neither of these decks are either TDM1 or 2. They're just, they are what they are. They're just a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and Besançon to boot. And it's interesting, they both seem to have a little bit of a scalloped edge there on their chariot. You'll notice that Justice in this card is quite skewed, right? The scales, rather. The scales of Justice are quite skewed. Where here, they're more evenly maintained. And this Justice is not piercing us as this one is. I kind of like, you know, if you saw my video on the Justice card, how I appreciate when the scales of Justice are not equal, right, or not even, because fairness is not necessarily equitable, right? And Justice has to see everything. Now, this Justice kind of looks distracted to me, like she's not paying attention. You got to see it all. And you have to feel threatened, I think, to some degree. Because if you're trying to face, you know, if you're facing justice, you know, if you're facing what you've done, you know, do you feel threatened by this one? I don't. But this one's a much more formidable Justice. And so I wonder if there's a little bit of the Swiss here, you know, this guy doesn't look typical. And, you know, if any of you ever watched like Heidi when you were little or whatever, this kind of reminds me of like the way they dress in Switzerland, right? Or the Ricola guy. I've been in Switzerland, but I wasn't there very long. And of course, in modern times, people don't dress like in costumes. So I didn't really see too many people in costume when I was there. So that's why I'm referencing movies and commercials that might show traditional garb. But here we have a much more traditional hermit. Okay, now, all right. I'm glad I caught that. Wheels going in two different directions. And again, this Death card has a funny little hat. And almost, I don't know what's going on there on his hips and his shoulders. But they both have a scythe. And he's got a funny expression. The one thing they have in common is a rich saturation of color. The reds are very juicy, the blues are juicy. This one has green, the yellows. They're both facsimile decks. You can see that they've picked up all the trace, debris and imperfections. This headpiece that this devil is wearing, and he's got some kind of animal creatures there. And we see the face and the belly. Now here in the Besançon, we seem to see a strike from the heavens, right? And here we see the fire coming from out, but it's also coming from here. We see fire here, fire from here, and then smoke in between. And of course, the action is in opposite sides. how serene the star card is. So please do let me know if you hear the ticking, because I can imagine it would make you crazy if you were listening to a video and you heard the ticking, ticking, ticking. It doesn't bother me. It sort of centers me, you know. Plus, I love cuckoo clocks. And we'd notice that in the Hess, we have the flag. On the trumpet in here, there is none. And we see some differences in, it's like the lion is holding the wreath. But we have the sea, flowy garment, whatever. So I'll go through these quickly. Now, I would have expected in a German deck to see, you know, some like Swiss influence, because they're so close, in the Ace of Cups, you know, where it would be a little more rounded. I believe the Miller has it, so I'm going to put this aside and we'll compare them when we get to the Miller. But in keeping with TDM tradition, it is a more angular Ace of Cups. There's my boyfriend. I love the faces on the Hess. I really do. And you see the window rather than the canopy, you know. At some point, was this the back of the chair or the canopy here mistaken for a window? I don't know. I point it out every time I see it. I love the faces in the Hess. I really do. Okay, so now we'll take a look at the pips of the Miller, which is, I mentioned, Besançon. How juicy, how dynamic. Look at that. And they start to get a little confusing. So in some ways, it's kind of helpful to have the number. It gets a little crowded. Queen and King. So notice he's got something coming up. Now, I don't know if that's an imperfection in the deck, but it doesn't look, it looks deliberate. Isn't that something? Okay, now here's what I was talking about with the ace having Swiss, right? So just the difference between them, where the Swiss influence is rounded, you know. But it is a Besançon and it is different than the Marseille. I think the pips are really delicious in the Miller deck. And look at that. That's quite an abundant ace of batons, isn't it? So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, I think I messed up. Oh, I think you missed it anyway, because I think I played it and I think I did the... I think I screwed up. So you missed the cuckoo. I'm sorry. No. Thanks for hanging in there anyway. Until next time, peace, stay well, be kind, and do no harm.